Hey guys, let's talk about last night's episode of Arrow. And it was a good episode, and it was the fallout after Moira Queen's death. Basically, Oliver was a no-show at his mother's funeral, at the reception. Thea was not impressed with him when he finally did show up after Diggle and Felicity tracked him down. He was, alone and sad and brooding and dealing with the loss of his mother. And this went on for most of the episode. Diggle and Felicity had to track Oliver down through Amanda Waller at Argus. And they pretty much had to say, listen, if we do not get Oliver back, our city is in deep trouble because Slade is got his minions with the Mirakuru in their system, and they are ready to take over Starling City. So we also found out in this episode that Sebastian Blood knew that Slade was going to kill Oliver's mother so that he could become mayor, which was crazy. And we found this out through Laurel, who has deep down had all these suspicions about Sebastian Blood and got into his secret documents and saw this letter that was drafted up the day before Moira Queen was actually killed. So that is how she found out that Slade has been working with, that Sebastian has been working with Slade. So that was a good reveal. And then Laurel revealed herself to Oliver that she knows the truth, that she knows that he is the Arrow, and that Slade is the one who told her. So they had a couple of really good scenes in this episode. I'm not a huge fan of Laurel, but at least she wasn't so annoying. I am just hoping and praying that they are not going to kill off Sarah and have Laurel step into her place, because it is just not going to work for me. We had some, interesting scenes with Felicity off the top of the episode when she's crying at Moira's funeral. And she's like, I don't even know why I'm crying. I didn't even like her. She was like a manipulative person and she was horrible. And she's like, these are the things you're supposed to be saying at someone's funeral. But it's the truth. She was never really nice to Felicity. So Felicity really shouldn't be shedding a tear for her. She's just more shedding a tear for Oliver. So I liked, again, that Diggle and Felicity were there for Oliver through all of this. And there was this scene where, Laurel is trying to say, I want to come along with you guys when you're trying to take down Sebastian Blood and his army. And Oliver's like, no, this started with the three of us, and that is what we need to get back to, which is Felicity, Diggle, and Oliver. So I kind of like that, because a lot of people seem to know about this Scooby Gang now, and that's becoming a problem. We also found out in this episode that Isabel, that's her name, correct, is not dead. And, well, we knew that, but Oliver and company didn't know that. So Diggle and Felicity see that Isabel is alive, and obviously they realize that this Mirakuru was used to bring her back, because Diggle's like, there's no way that that woman would have survived after being shot with a 9mm hollow point gun or whatever it is. And so he knows that Slade has obviously been able to bring her back to life, which means even, worse news for them. So Thea is, obviously very upset that her mother is gone and that Oliver has not been there. And she's now like, I'm ready to leave Starling City. Another thing that happened is Isabel basically took over the nightclub that, is it Verdant? Anyways, that she's been running, which is Oliver's, and she's now taking it over because it's under Queen Consolidated. So she's basically telling Thea she's got a couple days to get out, and she's now taking over ownership of the club. And so Thea is just lost. Oliver still hasn't told her the truth. She doesn't know everything that's going on. She does know that Slade was on the island with Oliver, and that this crazy person had come to town and that they were not being protected, which is not really true because Oliver was protecting them. But she doesn't know all the details, and Oliver still hasn't told her. So she's fed up. She's deciding she's going to leave and get out of Dodge. So Thea is getting ready to board a bus or a plane to get out of Starling City when the ish hits the fan, literally. And you know, when Oliver finds out through Laurel that Sebastian Blood has been working with Slade, it's like, boom, you know, he basically gets the snap back to reality that he needs because, like I said, he was pretty, and I get it. His mom just died. You know, a lot of stuff is piling on him. He realizes that he should have just killed Slade on the island and, or that he could have given him the serum to fix him when he was on the island, and then none of this would have happened. And, you know, so he's going through all the loss. He's going through the loss of his mother, dealing with it. So I get it, you know. So he was a bit, you know, extremely solemn in this episode, and he was like, I need to just turn myself into Slade, and all this will be over. I'm the last person that needs to die. Like, he was like, it was just like the whole episode, he was just like, oh. And then finally, Laurel was like, listen, this is what's going down. Sebastian is part of this, and he knew your mother was going to die, and he knew this and that. So when Oliver shows up at Sebastian Blood's campaign headquarters, or he's actually at his dinner, he's like, do you mind if I join you for dinner? So he infiltrates his dinner, and this is when they have this awesome conversation, and Oliver basically tells Sebastian that he is the Arrow and that he knows that he's working for, well, first he says, I know you, like, he basically reveals that he knows that he's working for Slade. And then he's like, how do you know I'm working for Slade? He said, because I'm the Arrow. So Oliver reveals that he's the Arrow to Sebastian Blood, and he's like, I should have known, it all makes sense, and da-da-da. So, you know, here's the thing with Sebastian Blood. He wants to pretend like he's all high and mighty and he's big and bad. But at the end of the day, he answers to Slade. And in that phone call, when he was in his office and the woman said to him, oh, your father's on the phone, he's like, that can't be possible. And then he takes the call anyway because he knows who his daddy is. He answers it, and you can just see him. He's quivering in his boots. He is terrified of what Slade could do to him. So, you know, he tries to act like he's got all this power when he really doesn't. Slade is the one pulling all the strings. He's orchestrating everything behind the scenes, and I love that scene. So now when he's sitting in front of Oliver and he's trying to act like he's, you know, the head man in charge, it's like, come on, we all know who's really running the game here. But he's also not backing down, and he's like, what are you going to do, kill the mayor in front of a restaurant full of people? And he's like, Slade is giving me what I need to run this city. And he's like, well, what do you think's going to happen when all these crazy guys filled with Mirakuru are going? He's like, that's just the tip of the iceberg. So he seems to have this whole big plan for Starling City, and he's ready to implement his plan tonight. So that is the big thing. Felicity and them all figure out that Sebastian is going to try to take over Starling City tonight, and they have to do whatever they can to shut it down. So this is when Diggle, Felicity, and Oliver go out to head out their plan, and the plan is to basically set off all these bombs to bury Sebastian Blood and his army of Mirakuru crazies. And a big fight goes down between Oliver and one of them, and this is when Laurel shows up the crazy Mirakuru dude has Oliver in like a headlock where he's about to kill him, and then Laurel shows up, bashes him over the head, and then this, you know, gets Oliver free, and then he's able to get themselves out of the situation. But they end up in a dead end, and she's like, there's nowhere to go, we can't fight anymore. He's like, we're not gonna fight. And then he like shoots his arrow off into something, and all of these like these boulders come crashing down, so they kind of like isolate themselves in this room. And Diggle is about to set off this bomb when Isabel shows up with her little badass mask on and is all like, you tried to kill me and now let's go. So she's ready to go toe-to-toe with Diggle, and I can't wait to see that fight scene because we got a little taste of it in 2 episodes ago, and that is going to be interesting to see that fight go down between her and Diggle. So Felicity's still in the truck. Diggle is dealing with Isabel. Oliver is barricaded in some hole with Laurel, and it is about to get crazy. So as Thea's at this station ready to try to get out of town, all of a sudden this crazy dude starts to shoot up the place, And obviously he puts the mask on and he's part of the crazy Mirakuru crew. And at the same time, Quentin is at the police station trying to deal with some stuff. And this man comes in that they've arrested. And he's like, what time is it? And they're all like, 9 o'clock. And then he's like, thank you. Boom, breaks the guy's neck, throws Quentin around like he's a rag doll. And he puts the mask on his face. And he's another one of these Mirakuru crazies. So this has been a very well orchestrated takedown. 9 o'clock seems to be the hour where all hell breaks loose. And it basically ends on that note. The clan is off and running, and it is just now a matter of who's going to win out in this battle. It's going to get crazy. Also in this episode, we had flashbacks to the island, and this was pretty much showing how Oliver escaped off the island or at least got away from where they were. But it also showed us how Sarah got left behind. So it'll be interesting to see what happens moving forwards. Now, I was a little sad that we didn't get more of Amanda Waller with her Argus crew. But, you know, we did see that she knows, obviously, where Oliver goes when he's not in the lair that Diggle and Felicity share with him, but when he's off doing other things. So they were like, what place is that? So when they track him down, he's like, how did you guys find me? You know, and obviously Amanda helped with that situation. But that was the last we really saw of her, which is unfortunate because I really like her character. And I can't wait to see what more trouble she brings to the storyline. And we also got a little bit of tidbits between stuff that obviously went down between Oliver and her previous to all of this. So should be very interesting. Another enjoyable episode. You know, we just heard Slade's voice in the background in this episode when he was talking to Sebastian Blood. And just even hearing his voice is awesome because you just know he means business at all times. And he is not going to let anything get in the way of his plans. And I love that. I believe we have 2 more episodes left before the season's done. And it is just ramping itself up, guys. And I cannot wait to see what happens next. Let me know what you guys thought of this episode. And leave a comment down below. Like, subscribe. And I'll see you guys next week. Okay, bye.